What's up, everybody, and welcome to an all-new episode of Casters of Horror. I'm Chris Mess.
I'm Shane, and this week we tune in for a late night with the devil.
Yeah, Late Night with the Devil. This one, what's this, a Shudder original? Or is it just, I know it was an IFC film, and
I think
it is a Shudder film.
Yeah, it premiered on Shudder. Is it a Shudder original? I believe it was.
I know that they were one of the many production companies that came up at the beginning, so, or at least distributors. So, but I know it was an IFC film as well, among many studios and distributors that put it out.
Yes, half the runtime is just the distributor logos.
The distributors. This film runs for a little over an hour. It's about an hour and a half, and yes, about 45 minutes of it is just production company.
It sometimes feels that way.
It was long. I was like, am I actually watching the movie? Yeah. Anyway, the storyline basically it's set back in the 70s. We meet Jack Delroy, who's played by David Dastmalchian.
It's Dastmalchian.
Dastmalchian.
I heard him say it.
Okay. All right. David Dastmalchian. He plays Jack Delroy, who is basically a competitor or a rival of Johnny Carson, as a late night talk show host. And he's he's built up his following and everything, with his show Night Owls. However, ratings are kind of dropping a little. He ended up losing his wife a year before this episode that we end up watching. Yeah. And his ratings are dropping, and he looks kind of like he's on the outs. So he's doing a Halloween night special to try to boost his ratings.
Yeah, and he kind of went from a sort of like respectable, like goofy but fun show to almost like a Jerry Springer type show.
Yeah. And I was kind of like he was somewhere between Conan O'Brien and Jerry Springer.
Yeah.
Somewhere kind of in there.
Yeah.
So he ends up has this Halloween special, where he brings on a skeptic, he brings on a medium. Yeah. And he brings on a psychotherapist. Is that what she called herself?
Yeah, something like that.
Who's working with a girl who they say is possessed by the devil.
Yeah.
Thus the name Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah.
Because
technically a demon, right? Even though.
Yeah, it was
the devil at one point.
Who was it? It was I almost said Akihabara, but I was like, that's the place over in Japan. It's the one where we get the name Abracadabra from.
Oh, right.
Abraxas. So it was the demon Abraxas, because she was raised in a family kind of like the cult that had to do with I had it on the tip of my tongue, and once again, I've lost it. But basically, a satanic cult.
Yeah,
she was raised by, and she was the only remaining survivor. This was written and directed by both Cameron and Colin Carnes. I'm not going to assume anything. This is two individuals who have the same last name for one reason or another. I haven't looked that much into it, but basically what we see is we see the airing of the television show in its entirety, including behind the scenes footage from that night. So it's almost shot. Well, it's basically, we just watch the show and then it's documentary style from there almost. I mean, you're just in the audience basically seeing what's going on. You're a fly on the wall almost.
Yeah.
Which I really dug. I dug that about this.
Yeah.
It ran the full hour and 30 minutes like a talk show would.
Yeah, and it really did. It really felt like you were tuning into an old time talk show.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, very, very clever framing. I think it actually worked really well too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Das Malkian or Malchin Mount that Mountain he did a fantastic job as Jack Delroy. Yeah. We do get these were it was produced by the guys who did Barbarian. So if you guys are Barbarian fans and you're like, oh, I love the Barbarian, jump on this. This was way better. But Jack, he does an incredible job as Jack Delroy in it. I would, not to lie, I would love to watch him as a talk show host.
I know, right?
I was just like, man, he's good. He's really, really good at this.
And the neat thing is too that they did, especially like at the beginning when it was setting up, the story.
Mm-hmm.
It was like this guy who was explaining everything, and they were showing a bunch of scenes, some pretty longish scenes too, from over the course of his career and his many shows. Yeah. And it looked like a fun show to watch. I mean,
it looked great. Yeah. This we also get a look into the Grove. If you guys aren't familiar with the Grove, it is a place of rumor, a place of lore that, does it exist? Does it not exist? Is it real? But basically presidents, people of stature, almost like the Illuminati. It's a men's group that meets up in the woods and basically has ceremonies it's the upper class. That's how it's their initiation type things into the cult. Basically everything's based around this cult and you selling your soul for fame. So that plays into it as well. I was kind of shocked that they kind of went there with it, but I was like, that's pretty cool. Because you don't really see that ever being talked about really in stuff like this. You hear about it in documentaries and stuff like that, but never really in the film industry. But what'd you think of this film? I'm doing a lot of talking. What were your thoughts? And then I'll give you mine.
Yeah, sure. I think one thing that's super important to say is that like this really, really feels like a late night talk show from the 70s. I mean, from the music to the way people dress to just the set, that he's on and everything. They really captured the spirit of that era of television. So absolutely phenomenal job there. It's super believable, right?
Yeah.
And I liked too how they kind of played like both sides of the fence on the the supernatural element thing, right? Because you had he has this guest on who is very clearly a fraud and uses all of the tricks that these frauds use, right? And you kind of get more into that throughout, but then you've also got you've got your skeptic who brings up a lot of great points, the kind of points that I would be bringing up,
Yeah, very much Randy what's his name?
Why is his name escaping me?
Exactly. This is how my night's going as well.
It's very much the guy who would offer like psychics and whatnot like $1 million to prove their powers. I felt like James Randi,
thank you.
Really felt like throughout the whole program, I'm like, okay, this is the James Randi stand-in, right? So and that's fine. It was pretty cool, but overall, I'd say this one knocked it out of the park. For me, I really liked this movie. It just all around, and especially once it does get into some of the like is it real or not? The supernatural stuff. It gets pretty bonkers. And I gotta say, man, has one of the most craziest climaxes I've seen, in a film. Right? Probably the only one I could say that rivals this one is the Pope's Exorcist. How it's pretty tame for a while, and then it just goes completely bonkers at the end.
Yeah,
that's how I felt this one did too, but to great effect.
Yeah.
So right this one was an absolute winner for me. I loved it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. Well, my take on this, we will find out right after these messages from one of our sponsors this week.
This is Listen to Their Screams, a horror podcast that feels like you're chatting with friends. Hello, I am one of your friends, Dave. I am one of the co-hosts of Listen to Their Screams with my friend Ike, and we want you to come and check us out. We are a fun-filled, positive horror movie podcast that does reviews, news, birthdays, anniversaries. We play games. We are a ton of fun every week for you, the horror fan out there. For all of our links to our social media and the podcast platforms, just check out our link tree. It is linktr.ee/listen2screams. That is listen, the number 2 and screams. Or look us up on your favorite social media platform and podcast provider.
See, I wanted that to feel a lot like, when he was throwing it to the sponsor, he's like, and we'll get to talk with the devil right after a word from our sponsors.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I loved this movie. Loved this movie. This was just so well done. Like you said, it felt like you're sitting there and you're fully immersed in this experience. It wasn't just, that's what I really dug about it. It wasn't just like you were watching a movie. It was like you were immersed in this experience with all of them. And you were part of the audience, and you were there in real time with this. And that's what I really, really dug about it. It was so well played. Even the acting, like you had mentioned, they even kept the jokes and everything were very timely. So it wasn't like modern day jokey joke, where you would say things nowadays, but it was very tongue in cheek the way that they would say things back in the 70s, and a lot of those jokes played along with that. I thought it was so well done. The lore that weaved its way through the whole thing, the way that he was entangled with everything that was going on is just phenomenal. And the ending was just remarkable.
Yes. Yes.
I am literally ready to watch it again.
Same.
And I will be watching it again very, very soon. To me, this gets, if I was to have to pick my top 5 today for the year so far, this would be number 1.
Nice. Yeah.
This would be number 1.
And again, I said it last week. I'll say it again this week. We're going to have to watch some real bangers to knock this one out of the top 2, so.
Yeah. So it looks like we're already shaping up. We're halfway through the year.
Yeah.
Well, not even halfway through the year. And we're already seeing films that are vying for the top 5 positions. So I'm excited to see what comes up next.
I am too, and I feel like I have to say this. So many times we've noted, we noticed David Dastmalchian in a film and been like, oh man, it's so great to see him. In this. Let this man lead movies more often.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
We need him in more horror movies.
He was fantastic in Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, Suicide Squad, he was phenomenal in, and even though he only had a really, really small part, but anything that I've seen this guy in, incredible. And he is going to be hosting his own talk show. I heard of as of today.
Oh, really?
And I forgot what the name of it is, but he interviews guests while they both lay in coffins. So. And I think it was Bloody Disgusting that put that out today. Anyway, I will try to find out more about that and post and do something with that here on Twitter. I'm still calling it Twitter. I will not call it X. So if I can find that article, I will get it reposted for you guys to check out. But anyway, next week we've got another banger. So I'm excited about that one. The week after that, we've got another one. I think the next few weeks we are looking at more that vie for these top positions.
Yeah.
So, we've already got the next few lined up. So, I've already seen one of them. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
So I get to talk about that one. But anyway, thank you for checking us out this week. Until next week. Wait. Let us know if there's any stuff you guys want us to watch or what you guys thought of Late Night with the Devil. Put it down in the comments down below. And while you're there, make sure to hit like and subscribe. And so now I'm on track. So,
okay.
All right. Well, thank you again to our sponsors and the guys that were working with us on this week's promotion for the podcast. They're a good group of guys. Check them out. And until next week, I'm Chris Mess.
I'm Shane.
Get the hell out of here.
See ya.
We'll see you guys.